Hey everybody, this is Ron from RV Weekenders. Hey, today we're going to share with you a little bit of maintenance on your rig. And this is really an important maintenance, okay? And this won't be an extremely long video because we've already opened everything up to check everything. But we are going to be checking our propane systems today. This is something you got to do periodically. We're going to show you all the catch points that you need to hit and to make sure that everything is connected and there are no leaks. That's the key here, is that there are no leaks, and we're going to show you how to do that. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to talk about propane. Propane. Two things. Number one, wanted to use the right solution to check for leaks. Now you can use a good dish soap to do that. I prefer to actually get a professional style leak detector because it provides the bubbles that we need to make sure that we're checking for all the leaks. So I picked this up. It's Oatly all-purpose leak detector, and I picked this up at Home Depot. Best place to go, Home Depot or Lowe's. By the way, if you are a military, retiree, active duty, a veteran of any branch of the service, you get discounts at both Home Depot and Lowe's. Don't forget to do that. You got to fill out their application online so that they can check your status, which they'll do through ID Me, and it works really well. I've got an app on my phone for both Lowe's and Home Depot, and I'm able to present that at the register and get my 10% discount. So Home Depot, leak detector, Oatly leak detector, can't talk today, and also some paper towels. I always take paper towels with me because I clean up after this is all over with. I don't just put the leak detector on there and then just leave it. I always like to wipe things off, especially if I think that there might be a little bit of excess pipe dope or whatever on there. I'm just gonna wipe it off a little bit before I start the leak check. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start on the driver's side of the rig, and we currently have, like I said, everything opened up. So I'm going to turn the camera around so we can focus on the propane system. A couple things I want to say to you is that the gas stops are a really great investment. If you do have a leak in your system, the gas stops will stop the leak at the tank, so it will not continue on and, number one, lose all of your propane, which is fairly expensive right now. But the other thing is create a problem where you're going to have a fire and explosion. So gas stop is a great investment. You can pick those up at Techno RV. I will leave a link down below, so watch out for that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our leak detector, and I'm going to put the bottle down here so you can kind of see what's here. On this leak detector, there is a little sponge at the end of the metal strip. Everything is on, as you can see. I got green. I'm going to check everywhere, no matter what, and we're going to check, and we're looking for bubbles. Okay, we're looking for bubbles. If we don't see any bubbles, then there's no leaking. Okay, make sure that we are checking everywhere. Okay, everywhere. When you don't see any large bubbles, little bubbles are not what we're looking for. Let me come down here, try this again so that you can see where we're checking all. And we're checking all of everywhere. We want to make sure we're not seeing any leaks. These hoses are really important to check these on, and periodically dip this thing back in here, come back up, and lots of fluid. Okay, checking the other side as well. Okay, you're not seeing any bubbles. Then we're going to come up here, we're going to get some more fluid, and we're going to check all up in here where the hose is connecting to the crossover pipe, and you're checking the fitting on the back side over here, making sure we're checking everything. Try not to miss anything. Okay, a little more fluid. And we're going to check the hose down here. Okay. I don't see any bubbles, and you'd see them. Trust me, you will see the bubbles if it's leaking. Okay, big bubbles. You'll see big bubbles. Okay, we're not seeing any bubbles right now. Everything looks pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a paper towel. We're going to wipe everything down, just to clean everything up. Sorry about that, but we want to get everything cleaned back up, get everything wiped back down. Okay, and I like these shop towels from Scott's. They're a good towel to use. Okay, wipe everything down. Okay, we've checked up here on the crossover pipe. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going down underneath, because this hose that is going down here goes down underneath the rig. That's why the wood's here. It's for me to lay on, because you can see I've got gravel all over the place, and I'm not laying on the gravel. So we're going to come down here and we're going to check these fittings right here. Okay, so we're down underneath and we're going to check out this T right here, as well as the fittings. Okay, making sure there's lots of fluid, there's no leaks. Checking everywhere. Okay, not seeing any leaks, no big bubbles, just some drips. All right, then we just wipe everything down. Okay. All right, now the next place we're going to go check is where there's a crossover pipe over to the other side that goes to the water heater and the furnace. So that'll be the next place we stop. All right, so we're back here right where the framing, the drop down framing is up at the upper level, where you can see there's an elbow right here as well as a T. And so we're going to check this all out, make sure that we're not having any leaks, make sure we're using lots of soap. Okay. The other thing, if you have a squirt bottle, works really good for getting in really tight spots. Alright, I'm going to continue to check this all the way around. Alright, looking good so far. Not seeing any leaks. I got one more joint to check. That's the one all the way underneath. Again, we're kind of using as much of this stuff as we want. Lots and lots of this to make sure we're getting it checked really well. Okay, looks good. All right, so the next place we're going to move is we're going to move back underneath the slide out. Okay, so we got one more fitting way up under here, and we're going to use a sprayer to check all that out and make sure that there's no leaks. Okay, and then move back up under here and check all this out. That other fitting was just a little too tight up against the, and you can see there's absolutely no bubbles. Checking out all the hose to make sure there's no cracks in it. Make sure it's in good solid condition. You know, if you do see a crack or two, you can always spray it down. Okay, it looks pretty good. All right, now it's time to move to the passenger side of the rig and check the tank over there. All right, so here we're on the passenger side. We're gonna break out the little wand again. We're going to check all this out and make sure there's no leaks. Okay, not seeing anything. And then we're going to check. We're going to get some more fluid. We're going to get some more fluid. And we're going to check up here at the regulator, making sure that we're checking this all out. Okay, looks good. We'll look on both sides. Maybe a little more fluid. Don't be stingy with the fluid. Making sure you're checking it everywhere. Now there is a crossover pipe from the other tank to this tank, and we want to check and make sure that that looks good. So we're going to wander around and we're going to check out the crossover pipe here. Okay, it looks good. There's a grounding strap to it, to the grounding on the RV, as there should be. And there's no joints all the way across, and it's mounted well. So you can check it, kind of shake it a little bit, make sure it's mounted nice and solidly, but it looks pretty good. Okay? All right. So now let's head back over. And you're probably wondering, how often should I do this? Well, let's keep in mind that your rig is a driving earthquake, which means all of this stuff can loosen up over time. So now this copper pipe, this is the water heater. This copper pipe comes up from a fitting down below. We're going to do this one first, okay? And we're going to switch over to our sprayer. Because where we're going to hit next, we're definitely going to need the sprayer. And you want to hit it all. Okay. Not seeing any leaks at all. Okay. And then down in here, this is the furnace. This is why you really want to use this sprayer. Make sure that all gets nice and coated. Now, while I'm in this area, I kind of want to show you a couple things. Okay, if you're having problems with your furnace, and this is a suburban furnace, if you see way back in the back, you'll see a fuse. That could be one of the problems. If your furnace is not running, that fuse may need to be replaced. Okay, that's one of those pinch points for this furnace. The other one is right here. This is the vane switch. It's a micro switch that if you don't have airflow, it will not allow the furnace to kick on. You won't get any gas flow and you won't get a flame. Okay, this is more than likely one of the issues that you have. If your furnace comes on but it doesn't ever get a flame and you know heat, and then it'll shut off, it's usually this right here, your vane switch. So if you didn't know where that was at, now you know. And then sometimes you just need to reset it. That's this switch right here, off. Reset that baby to on and you're good. Now, one other issue that a lot of people do have is this circuit board right here. They do fail from time to time, but you can see that it's in fairly close condition. It can be removed without too much problem. Okay, usually you're going to remove this right here, and then the board with a little bit of help will come out. Now, I am seeing something that troubles me a little bit since we just bought this rig less than a year ago, is I'm seeing wood chips in here. So I'm going to go get my vacuum, and I am going to vacuum out all those wood chips, because that's not a good idea to have wood chips in here. Okay, which is one of the reasons why you should be checking your furnace on a periodic basis, so that you're not having issues with it, number one, and that if you see safety issues like I'm seeing right here, number two, then you should be paying attention to that. All right, one more place to check for before we go, and that is underneath. As you can see, the two connections right there. Okay, one for the water heater and one for the furnace. So we want to check both of those, and we're going to use the sprayer here. So again, you got two different choices. You can spray this or you can use the dipper. As you can see, I'm not seeing any bubbles. Okay, looks really good. Everything's nice and tight. All right, and that's how you check your propane system. Okay, so there is one other place that you could check, that you should check if you can get to it. Unfortunately, our Furrion oven and stove are pretty solidly mounted. And so what I usually do is rely on the propane sensor, and you want to make sure that that is intact, that the green light is on, and it's usually located in a good spot. Ours is right here on the front of the island. So if that oven and stove has a leak, it's going to show up right there on that propane detector. Okay, so make sure that thing is intact, that it's working well, okay, and that you keep an eye on your propane system. Well, okay, that's it for today. So we've checked our propane systems. Everything looks good. We don't have any leaks. We're going to go back around. We're going to put everything back together, close everything up, turn off the propane, make sure everything's sealed up before we close up for the day. But I want to remind you to please subscribe to their videos, like them, because that's how YouTube knows that you're watching, as well as subscriptions, and share these with your friends, because we sure love doing them and love to make sure you're out there being safe. So don't forget, gas stops, check your propane. That Oatly leak detector is really good stuff. It's really cheap and worth your while. Better than trying to mix up a solution with your Dawn dish soap or whatever, Palmolive, whatever. Because the leak detector is really what the professionals use. They don't use a soap-based mixture from the dish soap. So check it right, do it right, and we'll see you out there on the road.